Are you feeling completely overwhelmed by the property tax process in Licking County? Well, imagine completing it all online with just a few clicks. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally demystifying the digital payment infrastructure for Licking County property owners. Look, let's be honest, nobody actually enjoys paying taxes, right? But if you've ever felt totally bogged down by paper bills or confusing government websites, you're in the exact right place. We're going to break down exactly how you can manage this civic duty easily right from the comfort of your own couch.
So between the assessment notices, the strict deadlines, and just figuring out where to actually send your check, it can feel like a total maze. Transitioning from manual, paper-based payments to a streamlined online system, it isn't just about convenience. It's about accuracy, getting that instant confirmation, and honestly, just giving yourself some much-needed peace of mind.
Here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by understanding your tax bill, prep you for online payment, walk through the actual steps, cover those crucial deadlines, troubleshoot a few common mistakes, and wrap things up with some helpful resources.
Okay, Section 1. Understanding your property taxes. Before we can even pay the bill, we need to understand exactly who's sending it and how it's calculated over at the Donald D. Hill County Administration Building in Newark.
Now, it is so easy to get confused right out of the gate here, mostly because in Licking County, you actually interact with two completely different offices for your taxes. On one side, we have the Licking County Auditor, led by Michael L. Smith. The auditor is basically the chief assessor. They determine your property's value and manage the on-track property search system. On the other side, we have the Licking County Treasurer, led by Roy Van Atta. The treasurer is the official tax collector. They manage the actual billing, handle the Smart Payworks payment portal, and deal with any delinquencies. So simply put, the auditor values your property, but the treasurer actually collects your money. Keep that division of labor in mind.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the math behind your bill. You are not taxed on the full market value of your home. No way. By Ohio law, real property taxes are calculated based on what's called its assessed value, which is exactly 35% of the appraised market value. So to put that into perspective, if the median market value of a home in Licking County is $232,200, the assessed value you're actually taxed on is just $81,270. That assessed value is then multiplied by your local tax rates, sometimes called millage rates, to get your final bill.
Moving right along to Section 2, preparing for online payment. Having the right info at your fingertips is absolutely the secret to a frictionless experience.
Before you even open a web browser, you're going to need a few specific items. Think of this checklist as your digital key. First, you absolutely need your exact parcel number, and I really cannot stress this enough. You must include all the hyphens and special characters exactly as they appear on your physical tax bill. Don't skip them. Second, you need the last name of the owner of record. Again, exactly as printed. And finally, a secure email address. The system uses this exact combination to verify your profile against the county's real-time tax database. It's basically how they make sure you're paying the correct bill.
So the crucial point here is how you actually get to the payment screen. The county auditor maintains this fantastic public database called OnTrack, which you can use to look up your property's valuation and history. But remember what we said earlier? The auditor doesn't collect the money. So while you can research your property on OnTrack, you have to click the specific taxes icon on your property's detail page. That icon acts like a secure hyperlink, bridging you directly over to the treasurer's payment gateway.
Which brings us right into Section 3, the step-by-step payment process. This is where the rubber really meets the road.
Let's make sure you get a flawless registration here. Licking County uses a secure, third-party gateway hosted by a company called Smart Payworks. First, you'll navigate to their registration page. Next, input that exact parcel number, hyphens included, remember. Then enter your last name, and finally your email address. Once you hit Find Parcel, the system validates your identity and establishes a permanent profile for you. From then on, you can log in instantly to check your e-billing preferences or just track your transaction history. It's super convenient.
Once you're inside your customized dashboard, the system is incredibly user-friendly. You just select your outstanding tax balances and add them to a digital shopping cart. What's fantastic about this is that if you own multiple properties, say you're a real estate investor, or maybe you just own a secondary lot, you can compile all those parcels into a single shopping cart and pay them all at once. When you hit checkout, your payment is finalized using a highly secure encrypted SSL channel, so you're getting a massive upgrade in security compared to just dropping a paper check in the mail.
Now let's talk numbers and the actual cost of paying online.
Yes, there are transaction fees, but there's actually a really fascinating legal reason for this. Under Ohio public finance laws, local governments are outright prohibited from absorbing credit card interchange fees. Basically, the county isn't allowed to use taxpayer funds to cover the cost of your credit card rewards program. Makes sense, right? Therefore, those processing costs are passed directly to the cardholder as a convenience fee at checkout. It's totally transparent, though, and you'll see the exact fee amount before you ever hit submit.
Setting up digital reminders is critical for our next topic. Section 4, deadlines and penalty fees. Let's look at the real financial stakes of missing a due date.
So in Ohio, property taxes are billed in arrears, which just means you're actually paying for the previous year. Assessment notices generally arrive in the spring, typically by mid-May, but the actual payments are split up into 2 half-year installments. Your first half is generally due in late January or early February. The second half is due in late June or early July. I highly recommend taking out your phone right now and setting a recurring calendar reminder for mid-January and mid-June, just so you never, ever miss these windows.
Because trust me, if you do miss the window, the penalties are swift. According to the Treasurer's Office, if your online payment is not successfully submitted or your physical check isn't postmarked by the statutory due date, a 1.5% late payment penalty is applied literally immediately to your bill. No grace period.
And honestly, it gets much steeper if you ignore it. For long-term unpaid balances, the Treasurer's Office is required to impose a compounding interest charge of 10% per half year on the outstanding delinquent principal. 10%! And delinquent taxes are a massive deal in Licking County. Recently, unpaid bills added up to a staggering $9.2 million, more than half of which would have gone directly to local schools.
We want to help you avoid those penalties entirely, which brings us to Section 5, troubleshooting common mistakes.
Okay, here is the single most common stumbling block residents face. Licking County uses the Smart PayWorks vendor for multiple different departments. The Treasurer uses it for property taxes, sure, but the Water and Wastewater Department also uses it for utility bills. If you try to log into the water portal to pay your taxes, it will reject you every single time because they require completely different data. The tax portal needs your parcel ID and last name. The water portal needs your utility account number. Always, always double-check which department's logo is at the top of the payment screen before you start typing. Another mistake is simply putting it all off until it's too late. What happens if you completely ignore the process? Well, the consequences are severe. Unpaid taxes fund our most essential services, like fire departments and schools. If left unpaid, those accumulated 10% compounding delinquency balances eventually become the exact starting bid during county sheriff foreclosure sales. The county can, and absolutely will, pursue legal foreclosure to recover those public revenues. So let's make sure you have all the support you need with our final section, resources and final thoughts. If you hit a digital wall, the county officials are incredibly accessible offline. Both the Treasurer and the Auditor are located right at the County Administration Building at 20 South 2nd Street in Newark. Here is the critical distinction to remember. If your issue with the payment itself, you contact the Treasurer. But if you think your property was valued too high, you contact the Auditor. In fact, if you want to formally dispute your valuation, you can file a complaint with the Board of Revision. Just know you absolutely must do so by March 31st of the year following the tax year. By understanding the distinct roles of the Auditor and the Treasurer, gathering your exact parcel number beforehand, and setting those handy calendar reminders, you are entirely set up for success. Think about it. How much time and stress will you save by paying your Licking County property taxes online this year? By fully embracing this digital workflow, you can handle a major civic duty with unprecedented ease, completely avoiding the lines, the stamps, and those dreaded late fees.
We do want to leave you with this final important note. This explainer is intended as a guide and for informational purposes only. Policies and procedures can change. Always refer to the Licking County official website or contact local authorities for the most accurate and current information regarding property tax payments. Go ahead and bookmark those official portals and get your parcel ID ready. Now that you've unlocked the keys to Licking County's digital infrastructure, the only question left is, what are you going to do with all the time and stress you've just saved yourself? Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Explainer.